Hi, my name's Chloe and I'm a trainee solicitor within our family department at Ridley Hall.
And I'm Vicky Medd. I'm one of the partners and senior solicitor. I'm also a mediator at Ridley Hall.
So we're going to be talking today about prenuptial agreements, and I'm going to be asking Vicky some questions. So Vicky, what is a prenuptial agreement?
A prenuptial agreement is an agreement that you enter into before you get married, and it sets out some financial decisions that you jointly make that you want to be recorded. So, for example, if one of you, if someone has bought a house and hasn't had a contribution from the other, and they want that property to be theirs, you can make provision for that if both of you agree. So effectively, it's a document, it's a legal document that says what you both want to happen to the financial aspects of your marriage.
Okay, and why would you say that that's important to have in place?
So it provides you both with some security of knowing what is likely to happen in the unfortunate event of things not working out. So it gives both of you a bit of clarity. You both know where you stand if you separate.
So you say that it provides security. Are prenuptial agreements enforceable by the courts?
Kind of is the answer to that. There's been some recent case law, and as Chloe knows, case law is something that informs our practice. It's basically very big and expensive cases that are dealt by the higher courts that basically inform legal practice lower down the courts. And I won't bore you with the details of the case, but there has been quite a significant one. The Law Commission have also looked at this as well, and they've recommended that they do become legally binding, but at this moment they are not. However, if certain criteria are met, then the courts will say it's enforceable. So it's something that the court can have regard to, and it's more likely to be enforced if all of the principles that we've got are followed. So in terms of the principles, which was bound to be your next question.
It was.
So the first thing is you've got to enter into it voluntarily and without undue pressure. So generally, what the Law Commission have recommended is that you enter into it at least 28 days before the wedding. Then also you get some advice from a solicitor, so it can show there's no undue pressure. You've spoken to a solicitor about it as well. The closer it is to the wedding, the more likely a court is going to think that the person who's wanting the prenuptial agreement signed has a gun to the other person's head and is saying, well, I'm not going to marry you now unless you sign this document. And the other person might be saying, but what about the flowers? So that's the situation with that. So it's got to be entered into voluntarily and without undue influence. The second part is that you've got to be aware of its implications. So again, both of you need a solicitor. And when we get prenuptial agreements in, we know that they're quite urgent and time sensitive, so we do drop things to try and get everything done. The other thing is it fair? And that's always the $1 million question, to be perfectly honest, because obviously it depends on when the relationship, or when or if the relationship breaks down. So again, things like how long it's going to be in place for is going to be a factor that we solicitors will be looking at. Whether or not it's something that a court would do, what provision is being made for both of them entering into the agreement. Will they both be able to buy a house? Will one be treated really massively more fairly than the other one? So it's all those sorts of things that the courts would take into account when they make that decision. And that's why you need the legal advice. I have to say, in my experience, it's wedding season at the moment, and we've had loads of prenups recently, and they all seem to be done about 6 weeks before. It's loads better if you can do it a few months before, or even in one of the prenups I've dealt with recently, they had the discussion about 2 years ago. Enter into a prenup then, because obviously the longer it's in place for, the less likely it is the court's going to conclude it's been done to force somebody into signing it before the wedding day, and the wedding day is getting ever closer. So yeah, so that's what I would say about that.
Well, that answers all my questions in one, Vicky. So thank you very much. That was really helpful.
No problem. Thank you.